Hi everyone. So I'm back. I'm making another one. First of all, thank you so much everybody who left some really lovely comments and like lots of encouragement, things like that, on my Altar tour, and also people who continue to leave comments on my Book of Shadows flip through my woo woo book, and the just on my come on brain. I'm not editing this out. Like I don't do fancy editing. My other video I made about my Oracle and Tarot collection. So thank you everyone. I super really appreciate it. It's actually really encouraging because these videos were really just like I said on my Altar Tour video, they were really a whim. This channel originally, I just watched all my nail art stuff on, and I needed a place to put that Book of Shadows video, and that got made kind of on a whim, kind of because I wanted to show people it, and I'm bad at explaining stuff. Um, yeah, so it's kind of partly why I'm not going to do any kind of regularly scheduled programming, because this is just, as I said in my altar video, as and when. But I had an idea, a thought in the shower, and you might be into it, you might not. I won't be offended. um, so I was sort of thinking to myself, and this was all inspired by a video by Kellyanne Maddox. If you haven't subscribed to her channel, you should. She's really great. Really, if you like really kind of straight talking, no nonsense people, she's fantastic. Anyway, she did a video on going back through her old books of mirrors, which is kind of like spiritual journaling, I guess. And her and a lot of other people I watch on Pagan Tube are very much like document everything, document your journey. I mean, even I myself have said it. I think on my my Book of Shadows flip through, and I mentioned that I use my Book of Shadows for documenting shadow work as well as putting rituals and all that stuff. So as I was watching this video, she's going back through all of her old stuff, and it was really interesting actually to see where she was at 8-9 years ago versus her practice now. And I did have a little notebook that it was like thoughts for like every day of the year, so you did like 365 days, and I kept it up for a while. It was too much pressure in the end, and I kind of abandoned it. But the aim of that was to have a place to write down those thoughts and document those things. And as it turns out, I'm really bad at doing those things regularly, despite trying. And I'm kind of on, I feel like I'm on this kind of spiritual growth journey, personal growth, personal development journey. And I think a lot of that does relate to my spirituality and kind of where I'm at now. And so I thought to myself, point of this ramble is, why not, if since I'm kind of bad at writing about it, and I'm very much a child of Loki in that I like to talk. I'm a bit egotistical, and I like to talk about myself. Why not just document it? And for myself more than anything, just so I can go back, in a year's time, 2 years time, 10 years time even, and look back at these videos and see where I'm at on my spiritual journey, on my own personal development journey. And I don't know how regularly I'll do them. They all, all the personal self-development shit I always read is like, do this thing, if you want to do a thing, then you've got to be really specific about it. Say you're going to do X amount in this time frame by this time, and I'm terrible at doing that. Like, I try to work to that. My brain doesn't do well with those kinds of deadlines. So I'm just going to do this in a no pressure, as and when, as I said in my altar video, I just will upload things. But when I feel like it, and I might have an epiphany, 3 times in a week, and I might not have one for 6 months. So I will probably still write stuff down as it comes into my head, and then I'll probably make a video as well. But yeah, I think primarily I want to do a video thing of where I'm at in my path, spiritually, personal development wise. Obviously, I want to keep this mainly pagan focused. I want to keep this mainly witchcraft focused. But I also don't necessarily want to teach anything explicitly, because I'm not. There's so much I don't know. There is so much about various branches of witchcraft and paganism and the great glorious cult of Wicca. I don't know. So I don't want to teach anything. And there are so many videos out there on YouTube, I think, that do a lot of that already and offer a lot of insights into those things already. This is more for me to just document my own journey, and also as hopefully as a side side benefit, if anybody who does watch this, to hopefully empower them to explore and to go on their own journey, and to realize that you are no less of a witch or a pagan or whatever, even if you started yesterday, versus you've been doing it for 50 years. It's, and hopefully go on this journey with me to stop comparing myself, to people who have been in the craft and practicing for 20, 30, 40 years. It's that kind of, that's a thing I know I need to work on, and I think it's a thing that plagues a lot of people who are new to the craft, and that might be new as in the last couple of years, yesterday, last week, whatever. and I have been I'm going to give you a little ramble, a brief overview. I know I talked a little bit about it in my last video, but I want to kind of give you and myself a starting point, of where I started, where I was at, where I'm at now, and hopefully where I'm going. So I started, I first dabbled and got into paganism, spiritual, esoteric stuff, probably when I was about 13, 14, something like that. And not because I'd watched The Craft, although I did watch that not long after I got into everything. So I got into like tarot, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, when I was like 13 or so, 13, 14, I want to say. And I very much went on that path, and it was and I fell into that kind of new agey, generic, esoteric Wicca, eclectic Wicca. I was like, yes, that's my jam, that's my thing. And then lots of life things happened over the next couple of years, and I ended up falling off the wagon. I went off the path, and got some life experience. And then I would say like 2 years ago now, I want to say. Oh, I'm gonna have to move slightly. Damn. Yeah, so like 2 years, well, no, actually a year and a half ago. Let's not get ahead of myself. About a year and a half ago, I got back into it. It kind of, well, I say a year and a half ago, really 3 years ago, because 3 or 4 years ago now, actually, I bought a Oracle card deck, and I was really inspired to do it, and it was like, yes, this is a thing that I really need to do again. And I wanted to approach divination again, but maybe not with tarot, because it just didn't get on with it. I didn't get on with it at the time when I was younger. I really struggled with it. I struggled to memorize anything. I got really frustrated with myself because I couldn't memorize anything. And I just picked up a generic Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and it just didn't click with me. So I was like, well, meh. And anyway, fast forward to around about 4 years ago, and I picked up an oracle card deck, and I didn't even know they existed. I didn't realize they were a thing, and I found them through an ASMR channel of all things, and then ended up kind of little baby steps fell back into it. And then it would have been around about October 2018, a couple of friends of mine who are practicing pagans were like, hey, you know, do you want to come and do a ritual with us? And because because I used to talk to them about it, because they were kind of and I still really feel connected to them as fellow practitioners and as friends, but they were the people I felt the most comfortable talking to this about. And so they were like, well, why don't you come around, do a ritual, we'll have a feast, we'll do all that good shit. And I was like, yeah, actually that would be cool. And so I started kind of studying again a little bit, and actually just before the ritual, I found my staff. I was walking through a park near where I lived at the time, and I found this beautiful fallen branch, and it was perfect kind of walking stick shape. And I was like, yes, actually this is perfect. And it spoke to me, and it just called out to me, and it was like, use me, pick me up. And so I did, and it became my staff. And so I did this ritual, and then I decided after that, I was like, okay, it was like the stars aligned. It was, it was like coming back home. It was really great, actually, and it was a sense of wholeness and peacefulness, and it was fantastic. So at that point, I was like, well, I've forgotten everything I learned, pretty much, in my teenage years. I've forgotten pretty much everything. And so I was like, well, where do I start? So I was like, well, why don't I just do a year of following the wheels, the traditional wheel of the year? So I did. And then just through doing that, I was like, well, okay, I'll learn about this thing, or I'll have a go at this, and just sit and read, and depending on what I felt like and what came up and whatever. Anyway, here I am about a year and a half later, just over a year and a half later now, and I've like, my path and journey has changed a lot, actually, just in this last a year and a half, 2 years. And I was, at the beginning, when I was getting back into it and taking all those baby steps that led up to doing that ritual, I was very like, I don't believe in any gods. I'm pretty, like, I don't want to say atheistic about it, but agnostic. I was very much like, I don't follow any deities. I don't feel like I need to. I don't even know if they're there. And just over time, over the last, I don't know, 8 months probably, I want to say, that has changed, as you can see, and you will have seen in my last video, that I am very much on a Norse heathen thing. And I also realised, and this is actually a very recent thing, like to where I'm at now, after watching some of Thorn Mooney's videos, which, again, fantastic, incredibly knowledgeable woman. She is a Gardnerian Wiccan priestess, so she follows a British traditional initiatory lineage, and has her own coven and all that stuff. Anyway, she makes videos, she writes books, fantastic, incredibly knowledgeable person, and I'm just completely enamored with her videos at the moment. But yeah, anyway, so I after watching a few of her videos, I was like, oh yeah, actually, like it made me think of my friends, and I was like, actually, yeah, well, fancy like the idea of doing, coven work. Does that mean I'm going to fall into, British traditional Wicca? Don't know. Truthfully, for ages I'd kind of sworn it off because um, I fell into that trap of this time round of thinking, well, Wicca is a bit new agey and whatever. It kind of is, in places, but it's also not. and I realised I was kind of trashing it without really knowing about it, and at least British traditional Wicca. So when I say that, I'm talking about Gardnerian, Alexandrian Wicca, initiatory lines of Wicca, rather than self-taught teenagey stuff. I want to say, and that sounds awful, and I don't mean it to be, but I hope that you kind of get what I'm putting down. Yeah, so I realised I was kind of trashing all of that stuff based on the stuff I'd learned as a teenager. And now I'm just in this place where I'm like, actually, I'm opening to just whatever, if, I want to learn more about, British traditional witchcraft. And like I said in my last video, there's a lot of crossover there. So, maybe I'll end up falling into that. Maybe I will join a coven of some sort. Not that I know any pagans around here. Well, actually, that's a lie. I know two, but I've only met them once. Lovely people though, and I'd love to meet them again. But yeah, I don't really know of any. I've not got any connections around here yet. So anyway, yes, that's kind of that's my last couple of years. And there's so I've in that time off, I was kind of a bit into like Taoism and like Buddhism. Like I said, I think I've mentioned some of this in my previous videos, so I am totally repeating myself a bit. But like so I've picked up a few of those philosophies along the way. Some have stuck, some have not, and now I'm sort of in this Norse heathenism type of a place, but also I want to learn a bit more about British traditional witchcraft, probably Wicca as well, and sort of the reconstructions of the old stuff, as it were. Where I'm going to be in the future, I haven't got a bloody clue. Who knows? Frankly, where would I like to be? I would like to get to a point where I'm doing some kind of daily practice or ritual. I think that's a thing I would like to do. At the moment, when I meditate after I do yoga, because I do yoga every day, I do a little sort of 5-minute meditation, just sat there, in front of my altar, and I say Hail to Freya every day, or most days. I don't meditate every day, but I've skipped a day here and there. But for the most part, I do it pretty much every day. And yeah, so, but really I want to do some kind of just, something a bit more substantial than that, I feel like. I also want to just get back into reading again and, doing that kind of, gaining a bit more of that book knowledge and just building up my library of, books and reference books and things. And I want to find out more about, I think, just traditional folk magic and folklore in general. So there's a lot that I need to kind of do. There's a lot of studying I need to do, and that terrifies me because I haven't done any proper studying in a really long time, and I'm lazy. It's partly why I like watching YouTube videos so much, because it's a really easy way for me to get information that doesn't require quite as much concentration. Anyway, it's 20 minutes. This is ridiculous, and if you've made it this far, I'm really impressed. Anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at. I think that's what I'm going to do a bit more of. I'm going to do some videos where I share that journey with you, and maybe even like do some shadow work. That's a big thing I'm doing as well right now. I'm currently reading a book on CPTSD, which is complex PTSD, as a self improvement thing, and I'm trying list writing, and I read motivational shit and personal development articles and all kinds of things. Anyway, I'm on this real thing right now, and why not share it? Why not document it? I'm crap at writing things down. This is easier. Right, I'm gonna leave it there because I've talked at you all for ages. But honestly though, thank you, and for all of your encouragement so far. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully this will be something you're interested in. If not, like I will do some more, traditional witchcraft videos, I guess. But I definitely want to do a vlog element to what I'm doing. So yeah, that's it. I'm not a blessed bee saying person. I doesn't vibe with me particularly. So so don't expect that on my videos particularly. But anyway, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you, talk at you again soon.